This is Gagajoy, and this is Gagajoy's cooking. Today we're going to be making French onion soup. One of my favorite things, and I hope it is for you too. We're still trying to keep in the vein of Valentine's Day, and to me this has always been a sweet Valentine's Day gift. I've got, let's go with 1, 2, 3, 4 onions. Mine are little, these are big, so I just, the equivalent of 4 onions. Now you can put more if you want to. And I'll tell you something that I just learned, and not long ago. The reason they call it French onion soup has nothing to do with the ingredients, who makes it, it has to do with how you cut the onions. When you cut an onion, you flop it in half, you start cutting it like this, that's a French cut. It's called French onion soup. You couldn't call it Belgian soup, I don't guess, because this is a French cut. I thought that was so interesting. And also, you know, it's sort of like the size of a spoon or a fork, mostly a spoon, so I'm sure there was a lot of reasoning for it to be cut like this. And wait a minute, I'll show you how I'm talking about. This one was partially done. I've got white onions, sweet onions, yellow onions. I don't like to put purple onions in it because it tends, you know, purple onions tend to sort of color soup. You cut it in half. That's it. And you put it that side down. And there's your French cut. How about that? When I'm cooking and there's green on an onion, I've always sort of cut that off, but I found out that it doesn't hurt your onion. It just makes it, it's a little, maybe a little stronger at that place. So I guess all my life I've cut that green off a little bit. I know when you have a potato, you should have always cut the green off of a potato. My mother always said that wasn't good for you, so. Okay, now I've got all my onions cut up, and it looks, that's like the equivalent of 4 big onions. The only thing that you have to do now is you put 2 tablespoons of butter in your pot, 2 tablespoons of olive oil. It doesn't seem like very much for that great with all those onions, but believe me, it is. You put a half a teaspoon of salt. That's not very much, but it does start your onions to sweat. And that's what we're going to do. Now this is probably the longest part of well, I know it's the longest part of the dish. What we're going to do is the onions have to cook down. Takes about 45 minutes for them to brown right, and we'll be back. And I'll show you how brown they have to be. Okay, I want you to see how the onions have gone down and how good and brown they are. Now, I'm going to put 1/3 of a cup of cooking sherry in it to get the stuff on the bottom, all the good rich stuff, like that, see? Now, I'm going to put, this is when I put the garlic in. We don't want it cooked with the onions, of course. And I'm going to put a teaspoon of pepper and a half. And I'm going to put a whole teaspoon of salt. And get that going. Now you're welcome to use any kind of broth that you want to. I like the beef. A lot of people like the chicken broth. But it doesn't make any difference really. They're both good. And I'm putting some, I have my rosemary and sage. This has thyme in, I'm putting rosemary and thyme. I'm not putting the sage. And this has got to cook now for about 20 minutes. And then we will eat. Okay, we're back, and our soup is just wonderful. And so is the nut. Oh shoot, that was a little hot. I think we're gonna have to stop. Anyway, this is the next step, and I'm sure you've been through it. You just put your soup in your bowls. That's part of it. Now, here's where I prefer having the croutons. I think croutons are better than the little, I put croutons just like that. And put this is brie cheese. You can use any cheese you want to. Cheddar, any kind of cheese. Now, a lot of people like these. Let me put a little bit of cheese on that. It's the cheese is really up to you, because if you're like me, I usually use the cheese on hand when I'm doing something like this. And now this is just little pieces of French bread that I baked. I'm dropping it in there. I'm going to put this in the oven and let that cheese melt. Swiss cheese is good too. I love them both. The brie cheese is probably the best, but I think it's so funny how we all have different tastes in cheese. I don't like sharp cheese, but most people, that's what they go for. I guess my favorite cheese is Colby and brie. Okay, I'm gonna leave it in here. I'm gonna watch it and leave it maybe a minute at the most. In fact, it's almost ready. And there you are. Well, there's our onion soup. My onion soup, if nobody else's. Right to my soul. That's how good I love onion soup. Been waiting on it for 2 weeks. Been planning on making it. This is wonderful. Not for everybody. Well, invite everybody over for some onion soup. Well, it's been a good day. And be sure and subscribe and ring that bell for me. And leave some comments if you would. I'd love to see your comments. Ask questions if you need to. And, or if you have questions about the recipes, we'll sure answer the questions. Have a good day. Remember the joy. See you soon.